The Clinical Compass is sponsored in part by Living Waters Health and Mental Wellness and by True North Medical Care.
Welcome, everyone, to the Clinical Compass, where we navigate healthcare through truth and expertise. My name is Chad Stencil. I'm a host with the Clinical Compass, and today we're joined by my co-host, Jonathan Rohde, and a special guest, Holly Lottman. She is with Pillar Services and Consulting. Jonathan, can you tell our viewers what we're going to discuss today with Holly?
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today. We're going to be discussing how do you pay for your healthcare bill. So as we all know, our most common way of paying for healthcare is insurance, but we're actually going to discuss multiple ways of paying for our healthcare bill today, including insurance, cash-based systems, and then co-op type systems where there's a cost-sharing aspect to it. So to kick us off, let's go with insurance first. So
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I think this is great.
Yeah.
So health insurance, oh my gosh, that's what everybody goes to, right? Number one is how they get referred to you is through their health insurance, typically, when you're trying to find primary care. But what that's going to look like, you want to definitely look at what you're getting for that. And what that means is you've got probably four terms that are pretty huge. You've got your deductible, you have a co-insurance, you have a copay, and then you have this big out-of-pocket max, right? So all of these things factor into your insurance and what that looks like for when you use it, right?
So just a little bit of clarity for our viewers. When we talk about the umbrella of insurance, we're going to have these terms underneath it. And as we all know, this is a bit confusing, so we're going to try to go piece by piece with each term as we do. But again, when we're talking about these terms like deductible, co-insurance, out-of-pocket max, these are under the umbrella of what we consider insurance, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. So your deductible, what you're looking at, is something that you have to meet usually every year. Every calendar year is what is typical, right? There are some policies that are working on a plan year. A lot of those you'll find with like maybe teachers or something like that, right? Where it's a little bit off center of their typical January to December. Most are a calendar year. But with that deductible, it's an amount that needs to be met, and it can vary anywhere from $200 and up. Like you're looking at some that are super high. I mean, we all know this, that there's a ton of plans that are out there that are catastrophic, as we say sometimes, right? Major medical situation. That is something, the deductible, again, is something that you have to meet each year. Then once you've met that deductible, it typically goes into what's called a co-insurance. And a co-insurance amount is usually like a percentage. You've met this deductible amount, and then it goes to maybe the insurance pays 90% and you pay the other 10%, or 60% and you pay the other 40%. Any of those things play a factor. The co-insurance is a little bit different versus like looking at a copay. Like a copayment, you go to the doctor's office, you pay your $20, you pay your $40. It's straightforward. It does depend on what you're seeing or what provider you're seeing. You could be seeing a specialist, you could be seeing a office visit like your regular primary care. Those copays might be different, but it obviously varies from plan to plan.
So again, go. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Chad.
There's so many questions, right?
Don't ask too many. It's fine.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what type of services or what types of things, Holly, affect your deductible? So is it, labs, x-rays, office visits? What brings that deductible down to where you can meet that set amount.
Yes, absolutely. So everything. If you're on a high deductible plan or like, this major medical is what they would call it, or a catastrophic plan, everything was going to probably go towards your deductible. You do not see a lot of plans that have a deductible due and a copay. There are a few out there, absolutely. This is all like just information, right? But at the same time, like typically speaking, you go to the emergency room, you will have a deductible to be met there, right? You will go to the doctor's office. You'll go in for your visit. Let's say it's $100 and the insurance is going to charge you the $100 because it's going towards your deductible still until that is met. And then once that's met, then it pops into that co-insurance, right?
And
Yep.
are there businesses that demand, and maybe you don't know this, that demand
We'll
that
try.
deductible payment up front? Or is that something people are usually billed for?
It's usually something that they're billed for, that they're sent a statement for. This has been a few years now, that before you couldn't ever, I'm going to date myself, but that's fine. Before you couldn't ever collect the deductible. Like you had to bill the insurance comes back, and then, provider XYZ sends that statement to the patient, right? But now they actually say that you can collect some of that deductible up front. So if you're coming in, Jonathan, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to go see Holly, and just because I'm a doctor all of a sudden, right? Let's just go with that. And anyway, so you're going to come and see me. I can actually collect that $150 because you have a high deductible plan, right?
Okay.
I can collect that up front. A lot of providers don't, I feel like, or they'll collect maybe a portion of it, right? Because you never know when it's going to be met. Like I can submit a claim today or tomorrow, and all of a sudden 7 more other claims come in from another provider, which then you met the deductible for them, and now I owe you a refund, right? So that's my last resort, is to actually have to pay somebody back, just because it's just more work, right, for everybody.
Right. So then to recap this first part of our segment here, it's insurance, the umbrella, and then underneath that we went over terms of deductible, which starts at the beginning of the year, every year normally, except for some people that don't, but for the most part, it's in that in that calendar year. And then we have copay, which is something that you would pay at each visit, but that would go towards your deductible, correct?
If there is a copay, usually there isn't a deductible.
Okay, well, there we go. And so there you go. There's some clarification there. So if there's a copay, there's likely not a deductible associated with that. And then once you've hit the deductible, that's when your coinsurance kicks in.
Correct.
And each insurance company has their own set coinsurance that kicks
Correct.
in, depending on the plan.
Yep.
So
I think we should go into a little bit deeper of the coinsurance. Just try to tell our viewers, once you hit that deductible, you have a coinsurance. What does that exactly mean?
It just means that you're paying a percentage of that 100% of that bill, right? The insurance is going to pay a portion, and you're going to pay that other percentage. What that percentage is varies from plan to plan, right? Depends on all kinds of factors, whether it's through your work that you have that policy, or you buy one on, MNsure or something like that. All of those things play a factor. And again, it could be that you have a 5% coinsurance. You're probably going to pay more for that policy, whereas somebody else might have, 75-25, that sort of thing. But all of those amounts then too, that coinsurance or those copays as well, all flow into that out-of-pocket max. Right? So we haven't really touched on that yet.
another term for our viewers there.
Again, number
out-of-pocket
4 terms, here's where we're going to go. So the out-of-pocket max says, hey, once you've hit that number, I don't know what that number is. It depends on your insurance. But once you've hit that number, insurance pays everything at 100%. Right?
Gotcha.
Obviously, there's always some exclusions with things, meaning like they're not going to cover this or that, whatever. But we're not going there today. Once you've hit that out-of-pocket max, you do not pay a thing for the rest of that year or that calendar year or whatever your plan year is.
Okay. And coinsurance, and we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more later on in the show, but does that coinsurance also affect medications, or is this just upfront medical insurance billing for services?
So all of that with the medications and stuff, usually that is a different and separate entity. There's
Okay.
a point of sale side of things. You'll still probably owe a deductible amount on that or a co-insurance, but usually the pharmacy aspect of it is a little bit different than the doctor's side, right?
Sure,
Like the doctor's, occupational therapist, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I worked in the pharmacy part too, so I kind of know that too.
You got some of that
A little
down
jack
too?
of all trades, I guess. I don't know.
Insider
Sure.
knowledge. Perfect.
So, Holly, Jonathan and I both have businesses where we don't bill insurance. We're cash pay only. How does that affect deductible, co-insurance, those topics that you've told our viewers about?
Yeah, absolutely. And it can or it can't, right? You have your patient that comes in, XYZ comes in, you do your services, they pay you their $100. I don't know, I'm making it up as I go, right? But you give them this super bills, usually what it's called, or even if it's just a basic receipt, but it'll have like the date of service, what the services were provided on it, right? I'm assuming that you're all familiar. You might not be, but that's okay. All this information will come to you. You can submit that to, or they can submit that to their insurance, right? Because they might have an out-of-network deductible to meet as well as having maybe an in-network. In-network is where the insurance is going to get billed. We're going to, submit everything as the provider is going to submit that. You, because you're out-of-network, don't have to do that to them. It's a courtesy if you do it. But they can maybe get reimbursement from that, or at least get some sort of a amount going towards that deductible due as well, even if they're not actually going to get reimbursement from the insurance. Gotcha. If their deductible's met, whether it's in or out of network, or maybe their out-of-pocket's met, they can actually submit that and probably get some sort of a reimbursement from the insurance as well.
Perfect.
It's an option.
Yeah. So then you just brought up two more terms to add to our list. I hope everybody's taking notes. In-network versus out-of-network. So from what I heard, in-network is where your insurance company has preferentially made some contacts. They have some relationships with these particular...
Let's use the word contracts.
Contracts,
right?
I love
Not
that.
so much a contact,
yeah,
right?
Contracts.
Contracts with
So they
these.
have contracts with
Yes.
these organizations, and that would be considered what's in network.
Correct.
And anyone that does not have this contract with these companies, they are out of network.
Correct.
And so then within that in network, that's why those services get paid for.
Yes.
There's a biller that sends the bill to the insurance company. But, okay. All right.
But then also, like, even as an out-of-network provider, like I said, you could submit. You won't, right? I mean, I just think it's silly if you're out of network because it's not worth it. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. Like, just get your money up front. You'll be fine, right? But as a person who goes to somebody who's out of network or maybe only accepts a cash patient, I can pay my $100, go and submit it myself and see what happens, right? It's probably the easiest and best way to do it as a patient paying up front like that.
Sure. Yeah. Can you tell our viewers real quick, what's the best way to find out who's in network versus who's out of network so that they're hitting those deductibles and those out-of-pocket max and
Yes,
things?
if that's what we're going for sure, contact member services.
Okay.
There's a phone number on the back of your insurance card. It is the best way to do it. And the reason why I say that, and I say this to all of my patients who call me for questions or whatever, as a provider, when you bill insurance, you have no rights. Like, you can call and say, oh, I was supposed to get a $25 copay for the visit with Chad. And all of a sudden, the claim goes in and it's going towards deductible. And it's maybe their out-of-network deductible. And they're like, but you said it would be $25. Mm-hmm. And as a provider, sure, that's what we quoted them. That's what we tried to do, the best that we could, right? But as a patient who calls in through member services or a client who's going to be seeing you, right? They can call in, and if they're told a $25 copay, they will honor that. Like, you write down their name, number, the reference number, all of this stuff, because they have to honor it. They told the patient this is what it would be. Here you go.
Gotcha.
Right?
So then for clarity's sakes, they identify a person within the network, and
Correct.
then they share what that cost sharing is or what it would cost them to go to that
Correct.
person.
Yes. Yep.
Wonderful.
And if they say that they're in network, and let's just say they were wrong, right? The member services rep was wrong. They will honor that. They will reprocess the claim as an in-network claim because you contacted them, meaning as a patient, right? Like as yourself, not as a provider.
Awesome.
We're just lowly.
Great. Thank you so much. We want to thank everybody. We're going to take a short break on the Clinical Compass, and we'll be right back.
If you're reaching for the moon with your video goals, but it's driving you bananas trying to get there, we can be your guiding star. Whether it be for marketing, storytelling, preserving memories, or just getting your message out there, Town Square Television's Production Services Department can help bring your ideas to life. For more information or to ask about a custom quote, you can visit townsquare.tv/production services.
I donate to Town Square Television because it's a great chance to be able to be a part of your local community, kind of stay in touch and know what's going on and be a good citizen.
It's so hard to get local news now, but Town Square focuses on our 7 communities and whatever's going on in our schools, in our cities, at the county level. There's no better place for local news than Town Square TV.
I just love the things you do, love the things you do.
Welcome back to the Clinical Compass. I'm host Chad Stencil, joined today by Jonathan Rohde and Holly Lottman. Before break, we were discussing medical insurance, and now we're going to discuss cost sharing. Cost sharing.
Yeah, it's very similar to insurance, right? Cost sharing, I think the difference between it is obviously it's a little bit less expensive for premium-wise, like for your monthly premium. Again, there's another term. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
As you're writing down those notes, make sure you remember premium.
That's what you have to pay, right? Just to have insurance. Anyway, the difference between a cost share and an insurance is more of like that you are covered, not necessarily insured, okay? And why I say it that way is because a cost share program has usually what's called an annual household amount, or I've heard it say a patient responsibility amount. Each one of those are the same as basically saying a deductible. So it's what you have to meet from your household, and it could be your kids, it could be yourself, depending on whatever your situation is or whatever the policy is. In order to meet that annual household amount, you have to submit your bills, the clinic can do that for you as well. But it's very similar to a deductible, and then they will cover your sessions either at a co-insurance level, or I think it's a lot of times 100% after that. Don't quote me. But that's what they have is very similar to a deductible, and then they're covered after that. And I say that they're covered, not insured, because if there is no funds available, they don't really have to pay, right? I mean, the whole idea is that people are going to be paying in and doing this, and that you'll have funds for your specific treatment or whatever it is. But it's not like an insurance company. They have a little bit different regulations on it.
So, and there's been some information in the news about recently about cost-sharing plans because people are paying so much money in premiums, that monthly bill that you pay every month just to have insurance, but then also deductibles being $25,000. Some people are going to these cost-sharing plans. I think we should let our viewers know, if you know the information, they don't always cover everything too. And I think that's one thing that was brought up on the news is sometimes pregnancy or baby delivery or different things. So our viewers have to be very careful that cost sharing plans may look okay on the surface level, but you really need to see what benefits they offer. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I do a lot of physical occupational and speech therapy billing that I do. And so these are like little kids usually that are going. So it's for rehabilitative care, right? Not a rehab. And when you're looking at that and using the cost share, a lot of times there's an authorization involved, or they just don't cover it at all. Like, right? Because there's no underlying condition other than they're just not meeting those milestones.
Gotcha.
And so there's all these tricky little things, and it's the entire cost share idea is fantastic for a healthy, well, I mean, even not so healthy, but like just so somebody has the premium that it might be lower to, pay. But at the same time, like if you have any kind of like extenuating circumstance, whether it's your kids or yourself, I would really look closely at the fine print on them for sure.
I'm glad we talked about that because I just want our viewers to know that everybody likes a smaller price tag, but the smaller price tag doesn't always mean that you get what you need, right?
You sometimes get what you pay for,
You
right?
get what you pay for.
I do think that they're a great idea for,
Yeah.
when you're healthy and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
But then that kind of flows into like how we were talking about earlier with the whole insurance. Here's another term that we're going to talk about, an EOB, or an explanation of benefits.
We love the EOBs because I get
Yes.
calls from patients like, what is
What
this
is
EOB?
this?
And why am I getting charged for this?
And that's
is
what
it
they say right
correct?
away, right? Like,
Yes.
hey, what is this? So this, you get an EOB, an explanation of benefits from your insurance company, whether it's an insurance or it's a cost share. They'll send one to you directly. You go to the doctor, here's your EOB, and it'll tell you exactly what you have to pay the provider. It might be the copay, it might be a deductible, it might be just your co-insurance. But all of those things, if you didn't already pay your copay like at the time of service, let's just say, it will tell you and show you exactly the breakdown of the claim, what at the end of it you are paying. And it'll say patient responsibility, huge Q words, patient responsibility. And at the end of that, when you get then your statement from your provider that says you owe, let's just say it's $150 towards your deductible, look at your EOB. I am very type A, so there's a reason I do billing, that I look at my EOB, I look at my statement, and I compare, and I make sure everything is jives. If it doesn't, please reach out and call somebody. Whether it's member services, I personally like to call my doctor, right, or the clinic that I saw, because a lot of times they can help walk you through what's going on. If for some reason it was a preventative and maybe it was supposed to be covered at 100%, but it's going towards deductible. And you're like, well, wait, I went in for my, yearly exam or whatever it is, they can usually fix that internally rather than calling the insurance and having 3 deep into the whole thing.
Sure.
Meaning there was a little bit of charting or how it got billed, that particular
Correct.
chart. So
Correct.
So just a little bit on the back end, from a provider perspective, the level at which we charge or bill an insurance company or the patient is determined by the complexity of the visit, and so
Correct.
that gets a particular code associated with it.
Yep.
So sometimes those codes, when they go in, maybe went in incorrectly.
Correct, or even just in the wrong order sometimes.
Oh,
Like
okay.
if the insurance doesn't see, this code number 10, I mean, you can have up to 10 codes plus on a claim, even though they don't necessarily see them all, unfortunately.
Gotcha. And so, yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, 10, that's a lot.
I know, but
I can't imagine a list of those.
seen it.
So,
Yeah.
so it's always good practice to tell our viewers, check your explanation of benefits
Yes.
against your statement that you
Yes.
receive from a hospital, a clinician.
Anything,
And just
yes.
make sure that those numbers are matching up. If they don't, reach out to the provider that you saw, the clinic that you went to, and also member services on your
On the
insurance
insurance
card,
card.
or the
Yep.
EOB should have a number as
Correct.
well.
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
fantastic information to give to our viewers. I'm learning so much too.
Hopefully it's helping somebody. How's that? I don't know.
Definitely.
I think we should discuss with our viewers how to interpret bills that they get in the mail.
Like on your statement or whatever that
And
you would
then-
get,
Yeah.
right?
And then how do you pay that bill?
Yeah.
Do you have to send in cash? Can you use a credit card? Do they
Well,
charge credit card fees?
I'm
Do
going to
they-
assume that you can pay cash all day, but that's only if you're going directly there. Don't send cash, please, right?
So can you speak to a little bit about how to decipher the medical bill that you get in the mail, and then how you go about paying that bill?
Yeah, options for payment.
Options.
So obviously all bills are going to be different no matter what provider you go see, right? It is what it is. For the most part, everything should be on there that you're looking for, right? So your EOB is going to come, and let's say it's $150 deductible, and you get your statement. Your statement should say $150 in like a deductible column, or it might not even have like a deductible line item, but it'll tell you $150, and it'll probably have like a adjustment amount. So that adjustment amount is usually when you're a contracted provider, they say, hey, we're going to say you're going to bill at $100 or $200, but my contracted rate is only $150. So that's all I can charge you. Okay. This is probably getting way too deep, but we're going with it. So anyway, so there will be a deductible column, and then it'll say, this is what you owe. So again, compare that with your EOB, please do. And usually on the bill itself, you will have usually 2 or 3 different ways to pay. Yes, you can pay cash. I would highly Don't do that. You can pay by check, and it'll say that, you'll write the check out to, that company or whatever it is, that clinic. And then you can usually use a credit card or a flex spending account or a health savings account. I know a lot of flex spending, you actually get a credit card to use. Health savings sometimes do. Sometimes you actually have to pay for it out of pocket and then submit it to your health savings account. All of them are different. All of them have their own tricks and trades, whatever. And then as for like paying with a regular credit card, let's say, there are some companies who are charging now that additional percent or whatever, 3% or something to use that card. But you can't get away with it, I feel like. Sometimes people don't. A lot of times in the medical side, I have seen that they don't, but I have a couple that have, and I'm like, well, it is what it is. And if you're going to get your points back or something, maybe on your credit card, it's fine,
Yeah,
right?
you hope so. At least some of those bills can be pretty high.
Right, exactly. But all of that should be on your statement as to
On
how
the
to pay it,
statement,
right?
sure.
And I know a lot of people are going electronic too. So make sure, like if you've had a visit and you're like, hey, I haven't received anything, everything seems to be going via email too. So this is something that you might want to be aware of too, that check your spam mail. Like if you're expecting a bill, or I have a couple patients who've actually called me and said, hey, I haven't gotten a bill this month.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, I know, weird, right? And I'm like, hey, you don't have a balance. Look at that. See, there is no bill, right? But always check in. If you're expecting it, just check in with your provider. Like I would rather have that than to have it sitting out there and then they've been calling me and they have the wrong phone number or they have the wrong email or something, right?
Exactly.
So,
and then you may not be able to speak to this, but I think our viewers should just know, because healthcare is getting so expensive, what is the best way if a patient gets a bill and they don't have that dollar amount? Who do they call to set up payment plans? Is that through the hospital? Is that through the
Insurance
the provider,
company?
the insurance company?
Yeah.
That's actually a really good question and one that we actually get quite a bit. It has nothing to do with your insurance company. It has nothing to do with them. The amounts are actually due, if you're a deductible or whatever, are actually due to your provider. So you would have to contact the clinic direct in order to set up a payment plan. But please do, because most clinics do not charge you additional funds or like a finance fee if you are paying your bill on time, right? Like if you have it set up that this is what I'm doing, here we are. I have hardly ever seen that you get a late fee because you're on a payment plan. I can't talk.
Okay.
But be upfront about it. Like, don't let it sit and fester and wait, because then we can send you to collections, right? Like,
Right.
Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
But
Right.
I think that just to be truthful and say, hey, here's the situation. I can pay this amount, and as long as you're doing that, religiously, absolutely, just reach out to your provider for sure.
And then we spoke about this very briefly before the break, but Jonathan and I have cash-based clinics where patients come and see us. They pay the dollar amount up front. Any tests or anything that we order outside of our clinic goes through their insurance, but they pay us up front.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to let our viewers know that there are cash-based services like that.
Yep.
And can you speak to a little bit about that, like how that all works? Or maybe I can even, where a patient comes in and again, they pay me with a credit card or they pay me cash or they pay me something, and then I can submit a super bill.
Yep.
And that they can then, we talked about this, that then
Yep.
they can try to get reimbursed for that dollar amount.
Correct, yes. So I think that that's also something that they would have to contact member services directly,
sure.
because there's usually like a form that would have to go along with that.
Okay.
And yes, you might have your super bill and you might have everything, in a line, but you can't just send it to the insurance. They'll have a specific form, or a lot of times you'll probably log into like your patient portal, right? Like they'll usually have a patient portal through Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever it is, whatever insurance you have, so that everything can be submitted and attached in a whole file. They get it, they see it, they touch it, and hopefully you get some sort of a reimbursement or something that's going towards your deductible or whatever that is. Yep.
Awesome.
So as we wrap up all of this, can you run us through like a scenario where we can get all of these pieces together? Maybe looking at a patient who comes in for knee pain.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you're going to pay your premium, right? So here's your insurance, paying that premium. Going to go see you. I'm going to go get my, referral because my knee is hurting. All of a sudden I have a referral that I have to go to, get an MRI. Great. I now have met my deductible because I went to that office visit, right? I now have an MRI. We have definitely hit our $1,000 deductible. Let's just say that that's all it is. Then we have a 90-10 split. So 90% insurance is going to pay, 10% I have to pay as a patient, right? And so what's going to happen is you're going to get your EOBs. You're going to compare that with your bill for that $1,000 deductible. Then I go back and I have physical therapy. I go to the doctor again. Now I'm meeting my 10%. I have to pay 10% to the physical therapy clinic. I have to pay 10% to the doctor. I have to pay 10% to all these different people, which is fine and great. I do all of that, right? I meet my out-of-pocket max. Then what does insurance do?
Pay for the rest of
They
it.
pay for everything, 100%. Let's do this. Again, of course, this is making sure that the premium is paid each month, all that good stuff to the insurance. But ideally, that is how the insurance in a nutshell should work. I'm sure that there's a ton of different scenarios of everything, but that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
So to recap, it's you're going to pay your premium, and then you're going to go see somebody that's going to build up that deductible. Again, the deductible is every year that resets. Once that deductible is hit, you're going to pay the full amount up until that deductible. Co-insurance then kicks in,
Yep.
and then there's going to be an out-of-pocket max, and then after that out-of-pocket max, your insurance covers the remainder.
Correct.
And so that's
Nailed
how
it.
all of those terms work together, and so yeah.
We'll see how many comments are happening because this will be interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that explanation. Jonathan and I would like to thank Holly for joining us today, and we would like to thank our viewers for joining us today on this episode of the Clinical Compass. Please stick around for the credits for a segment called Before You Go, where Jonathan is going to show you a technique to help reduce anxiety.
Before you go, today I'm going to bring to you a technique called tapping. It's a technique when you're in a situation where you start to have some sensations of anxiety develop. Maybe you're having a little bit of an increase in respiratory rate, or your heart starts going a little bit faster than normal. Maybe you had gotten one of those bills that we were talking about during the segment earlier. So tapping, just like the name implies, you're going to tap yourself. One of the areas that helps to ground you when you're having anxiety is tapping your sternum. So just right below your collarbone, that you have your sternum in the middle of your chest here. So go ahead and tap it, and it doesn't need to be very hard, but it doesn't need to be hard enough where you can feel the tapping on your chest. And what that does is it grounds your mind to know that you're in the here and now. While you're doing this, think about the anxiety and help yourself to remind yourself that you're safe and that you're okay. So again, in a situation where I may be feeling anxious, looking at a bill that's higher than I thought, I can start tapping and just feel the presence of myself in this moment. And as time goes on, you can move this tapping as well. So you can go down to your wrist and tap there, or you can do a technique from head down to your chest. So starting in top of your head, and then eyebrows, and then below the eyes, under the nose, chin, and sternum. You can even go to the collarbone. And as the tapping goes on, you should be able to feel yourself get less and less anxious.